Chapter 15, Hanging Up the Shorts. So, today, I've announced my retirement from the game of professional basketball. Trust me, it's probably safer for everyone this way. It started off with an email at work. In amongst press releases for the endangered helmeted honey-eater bird, offers to extend my manhood to biblical proportions, and pictures of amusing cats, a colleague who also coaches the local professional basketball team emailed me with a request for my t-shirt size. Naturally, I took this as one of my clients wants to give you a free t-shirt for reasons known only to them. And while I never usually pass on a free item of clothing, even the bad ones make good rags for cleaning the car, it had piqued my interest. So I replied back with a simple, what for? Well, it turned out that halftime in this weekend's professional basketball game, there would be a short 10-minute charity game of basketball, involving some local celebrities and business people. And someone in their wisdom figured that I would make an exceptional player in said game, somehow. Obviously, they'd never seen me play before, otherwise they'd realise that hoping I do well as a baller was the equivalent of hoping your local tyre fitter could publish an amazing book of erotic poetry. Still, we were doing it for the kids' ward at the local hospital, and even someone as unsporting as I couldn't argue with the fact that even if I made right hash of it, the money would still go to the kids. So I signed the indemnity form and cast my mind back to the last time I ever shot some hoops. It was back in April 1996. Yeah, the last time I ever attempted to follow my hoop dreams was over 20 years ago at high school. Obviously, I'd really followed on from there with a couple of games of NBA Jam, but my knowledge of the great game was up there with my expertise in advanced physics, geology, and complex anesthesiology. I'm also sure the words triple header came from porn and not basketball, which would make my foray onto the court mildly amusing at best. Additionally, my track record for charity games of sport is also nothing to crow about. I played mixed netball once, and a woman who had dwarfed my car threatened to crush me for some reason that I can't recall. Then there was a charity game of football where I punted nothing but air and bounced off about 85 kilos of unforgiving steel, known as famous football player Matthew Knights. My understanding wife had offered to coach me, having played a lot more b-ball than I had. But figuring that I wouldn't even get a touch, I rejected her offer and decided to throw caution, and on the night, the ball, to the wind. Of course, being a charity game, and me being the ultimate sporting charity case, I also had to find some sponsorship money to help out the hospital. It was just $50 entry, but since we're not too good at math on our breakfast radio show, my co-host and I somehow managed to find 3 businesses more than happy to get behind me at $100 a pop. So, massive thanks goes to Brent from Brent A. Munro Floor Sanding, who we'd also found out was a gun croquet player, Arj from the Human Mechanics Bendigo, and the team behind Regional Roof Restorations for agreeing to front up the cash. I also enjoyed the delicious irony of having Human Mechanics on board sponsoring me, as their tagline is, "We build athletes." And I'm obviously the clay before they even get started. However, $300 before I even bounced the ball, that was a brilliant start. The day before the big game, I caught up with a fellow charity team member who confessed that he was okay at shooting, but terrible at dribbling. That made me feel marginally better because I was terrible at pretty much everything. But as long as I didn't fall flat on my bum on the night and bleed everywhere, it should be fun. Before I knew it, it was just about game time, and I found myself in the referee's change room in my slam dunk best. A pair of elbow coverings that would have been better suited for a jobber in World Wrestling Entertainment, a pair of odd socks, pinstripe shorts better suited for the golf course, and a sponsorship t-shirt that was 2 sizes too big. So much for asking for my t-shirt size on the email there, coach. Everyone else turned up in basketball boots. I rolled up in a pair of cross-training Nikes that really needed a bath. Yeah, I looked amazing as I ran onto the court and instantly realised I had no idea what I was doing. The game kicked off and I ran as fast as I could somewhere where the ball wouldn't be. Quickly backtracking, I suddenly found myself at the wrong end and wondering why time had suddenly stood still. Someone scored and I almost cheered, before realising it was the other team. Closer to the action now, I suddenly ended up with the ball, and fearing that it would explode, I quickly threw it back. However, it still managed to get back to me and I took a shot missing both anything and everything. Game going well, as expected. A couple more points for the opposition now, and amazingly, I kept getting the ball. Unluckily, my guarding skills were as strong as wet cardboard, so it was pretty easy to take the ball off me. My endurance had also run out to the nearest bar after 2 minutes, and I was wheezing like a Mitsubishi Magna with 1,000,000 miles on the clock. I was as fit as a slab of concrete. The ball kept coming, and I kept missing at both scoring and shooting. Fearing a possible riot, the mascots got involved, and suddenly I found myself in a matchup against the mascot Indian Brave, which was completely unexpected. I also almost accidentally clotheslined Minnie Mouse, who I discovered was somehow involved in this game and not a hallucination from physical exertion. In the dying seconds, someone passed me the ball again. Why did that seem like a good idea now? And I heard my name announced as I took the shot and flummoxed it completely. Trying to wrest the ball back off the opposition also scored me a foul, as from the sidelines it probably looked like I was trying to lock the guy into a Fujiwara armbar wrestling hold. I probably was. I've seen a lot more wrestling than basketball. Thankfully, the siren sounded and the game was over before I fell into a screaming heap. We put up a interesting fight, but lost, with the final score 7-2. Oh well. I managed to score $300 to help the kids though. I entertained some real basketballers with my general ineptitude, and I proved to my wife how god-awful I was at sports when I rolled into the house 20 minutes later, still struggling to speak. To my team, I thank you for being part of it as much as you're probably thanking me for making you look really good in comparison. Thanks to all the fans who have followed my incredible career for all of 10 minutes. And a general thank you to the game of basketball for letting me grace your courts for one last time. It is time to go, Al. Time to call it a day. The torch has been passed, and with me stepping down, it gives some lucky kid the chance to shine. Take the opportunity, son. Go for gold. I'm not hanging up the boots. I'm burning them. As I said at the start of this piece, it's probably safer for everyone that way.